Hey everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Behind me is a 2014 GMC Sierra 2500 HD. It's my neighbor's truck. He's a farmer. 20,000 miles on this thing, and recently he said he got in it. He saw a whole bunch of warning messages on the dash. Now he said it drives fine, but it's showing him the messages. So let's see what they are. He said something about traction control, trailer braking, StabiliTrak. Let's just fire it up. Service traction control. Service StabiliTrak. Service trailer brake system. Anything else? And it's back. Service traction control. Service StabiliTrak, service trailer brake system. 3 messages. Let's jump right in with a scanner. We have to know what the codes are. Diagnose. Let's see how well it does on a 2500 HD here. GM. We're using the launch. Diagon 4 again. So far, I am loving this scanner. I'll be honest. It's been great on mostly anything that we've tried it on. And I figure for a full code scan, going through all the systems at once, this is the right tool for the job. Is the VIN correct? 9567, yes it is. Identified it perfectly. It's a 6-liter. So we want to do health report. Let's go through all the modules. No fallen ECM. It is going very quickly. I like that. So quite a few. Okay, so some of them it's not equipped, like glow plug module. It's not a diesel, so it's saying not equipped. But the scan is going fairly quickly. Almost done. So place your bets now. What is it going to be? Wiring, some kind of sensor, a little short. One little problem can affect multiple systems. Say an ABS sensor, it'll say, well, ABS light's on, so it would affect traction control, trailer braking, StabiliTrak. Oh, see, where do we go here? So here's the health report. EBCM 1 code, TBCM 1 code. So that narrowed it down pretty quick. Let's do fault report. I love this feature, by the way. Report. Confirm. Save. Okay. So let's go through this. Left rear wheel speed sensor circuit. High voltage / open. TBCM says system disabled, information stored. Left rear wheel speed sensor circuit. Alright. Easy enough. Let's go to the left rear wheel speed sensor. Where is the left rear wheel speed sensor? So around the axle, you see the wire comes down. There's the connector. It comes up from up there. Then it goes around the leaf spring bracket to the front of the axle. Goes right to our sensor, the left rear. What the heck is going on with this thing? Well, we can look up what the sensor does, how it works. Where's the connector on this thing? The connector is probably somewhere up there on the frame rail. So we can disconnect it. We have a known good on that side and take it from there. Is it going to be a bad sensor or a bad wire somewhere? It's going to be a good case study. So before diving into the diagnosis, it is important to understand how these wheel speed sensors work. What type are they? What kind of signal do they produce? What are we looking for? Can we just measure the resistance? Or are these like the smart sensors with a little circuit inside that do a digital square wave? Let's do a little research. Time well spent. Here's on all data. It says wheel speed sensors. The EBCM sends a 12 volt reference voltage signal to each wheel speed sensor. As the wheel spins, the wheel speed sensor produces a square wave DC signal voltage. The wheel speed sensor increases in signal frequencies. The wheel speed increases but does not increase in signal amplitude. So this is not your old school variable reluctance sensor where the amplitude increases with the wheel speed. So that's good to know. We also need to find a wiring diagram. What do the two wires actually go to? Let's see, electrical OE. Non-hybrid greater or equal to, well, let's just pick one. Here we go. Zoom in. So left rear, here's our wheel speed sensor. 12 volt, and here is, so it looks like a constant 12 volts feed, and this is our signal wire. That's very good to know. Back to the description. Let's see, X that out. 12 volt reference voltage signal to each wheel speed sensor. As the wheel spins, wheel speed sensor produces square wave DC signal voltage. So that, it doesn't say which wire it's on, should be on the second wire. Simple enough. We have a known good on the right side, known bad on the left side. Let's do some checks. So on the diagram, the gray and black is our 12 volt reference, same for both left rear and right rear. And then the signal wires are tan and brown. Alright, we're under the truck. It's securely chocked up front. I got the rear wheels off the ground just a little bit. Got the scope hooked up, keys on. First wire we're back probing is the gray and black, the common wire that goes, that's a 12 volt reference, that's what they call it. So right now we're at 11.3. This is the known good, the right rear. So now, I'm back probed right there at the wheel speed sensor connector. Let's back probe the other wire and spin the wheel. So this signal, or reference voltage, should not change as I spin the wheel. No change there as we expected. Let's try the other wire. Alright, on the signal wire, what do we see? We spin the wheel. Yes, there is some signal. It's going from, within 1 volt. It's a pretty low amplitude signal. Let's drop down our voltage scale here. So right now it's at 1.25. Let me set you guys up on the tripod so I'm not shaking all around here. 1.25. Spin the wheel. That's a low spot. 0.5. Let's stop it on a high spot. 1.25. So 0.75 volts change. That's a known good signal. Definitely digital square wave. Half a volt to 1.25. Got it? Let's go to the other side, the one that's causing the code, do the same check. Alrighty, on the left rear, first wire, 12 volt reference, 11.3, just like on the other side. So the wire is good to the sensor connector, that one wire. Let's back probe the signal wire, see what the signal looks like. Okay, so I'm definitely back probed. On the second wire, we have 0 volts. That's not good. Now the question is, if we unplug this thing, I'm gonna have to clean it out to unplug the connector. But I'm definitely back probed. I can actually feel the pin touching, and nothing, absolutely nothing on the voltage scale. So we're on the right track. Some problems on the signal wire. We undo this connector. We'll front probe it, see what's on the signal wire, and go from there. Okay, so I have both wheel speed sensors unplugged. What's the next check on that signal wire? I want to know if the sensor is pulling up the voltage to the EBCM or if it's pulling it down. That will determine if our wiring check is easy or if we have to take an extra step. So if we unplug the sensor and the signal wire, coming from the EBCM stays at 0, we know it's a pull-up design by the sensor. That means on the left rear we could have a sensor problem. Somewhere in the wiring from the connector to the sensor or the sensor itself. Good thing we have a known good. Unplug that one, check both wires again, and here is what we have on the signal wire. So let's just do both of them. I'll set you up on the scope. You can see that. The first wire is the feed to the sensor. Let me see if I can back probe that guy. There it is. 11.3. That's coming from the EBCM 12 volt reference. Second wire. If I can aim my back probe right. So we're just front probing the connector. There you go. 0. Okay. So it's definitely a pull up by the sensor. See, there's the back probe into the second pin of the connector, and we have no signal. Alright, so now, how do we check that the EBCM, if that wire is good? There's no bias voltage on this thing. The only thing that pulls it up is the sensor itself. Great question. What we could do is, actually the most reliable thing to do might be run jumpers from the harness side on the left rear to the sensor on the right rear, because we know that sensor is definitely good, and see, reset the codes and see if it sets a circuit for the opposite sensor. That's the most guaranteed way, because the voltages are very key. So whatever the computer does, we could actually do another thing. We could just short both wires, 12 volt reference right to that signal wire. See if the code changes. If it doesn't say open, if it says like short to battery, then we'll know that wire is good. That might be an easier thing to do. Okay, here's going to be our wiring integrity circuit check experiment using the scanner and a jumper wire. So right now we have 2 codes since we unplugged both sensors. I plugged the right rear back in. So let's clear these out. Clear fault code. Yes. Okay. Read fault code. So now just the left rear should show up. Alright, perfect. Left rear wheel speed sensor circuit. High voltage / open. So it doesn't know which one. It's either stuck low, which is open, or high voltage, which is high. So I'm not sure if this test will set a different code. We're just looking for a change in this code, which means the circuit signal wire is good all the way back to the EBCM. Let's try it out. We'll plug this little guy right into the harness connector up here. You guys can see anything. Oh, that's actually over here. There it is. There's our connector. From our ADS Wave back probe kit, I found the right pins that fit in here. 1 and 2. Now, that signal wire should be pulled up to 12 volts. Let's see if the code changed at all. So, back out of here, back out of here. Clear fault code, yes. Okay. Read fault code. DTC display. It changed. C004502, left rear wheel speed sensor circuit, short to ground. Awesome. I like it. Unplug this guy. Boom. Again, just verify. Clear code. It should change right back to the other one, the 05. Okay. Read fault code. And it did not change. C004502, left rear wheel speed sensor circuit short to ground. What the heck? Why is it short to ground? We actually pulled it up. Maybe he needs to do a key cycle. Yeah, cycle the key real quick. Key off. Key on. Okay. Read fault code. Short to ground. I don't like it. It's disconnected. I don't get it. It disconnected the right rear. Now it says, right rear is high voltage open. That's short to ground. Why? Why did not go back to the original code? Clear fault codes, yes. I hope I didn't damage anything with that bypass test. Read fault code. I really don't like that. Question is there a 12 volt reference? Is that like straight power? And we send it right to the EBCM? Alright, I really don't like this. I cannot get rid of the right rear wheel speed sensor circuit high voltage / open code anymore. And I don't have the reference voltage, the 12 volts anymore. This is ridiculous. On either wheel. I mean, shorting the reference wire to the signal wire should not cause anything to change permanently. This is kind of getting interesting. I'm kind of worried. Well, lack of a better test, let's do the left front. There's a signal wire, 1.2 volts. And the 12 volt reference, there it is, 11.25. So that still works. Why the heck does our rear circuit not work anymore? One more check I want to do. I want to pull this 12 volt reference down with a test light. Is this a high current circuit or a low current circuit? If it lights a test light, it's high current. So I'm going to touch the test light right on that T-pin that's on the 12 volt reference. Alright, there it is. Is it going to light? It does not. And it pulled the reference down to ground instantly. And now it's down permanently, I think. Let's see if we set a code. This is ridiculous. So does it shut off the 12 volt reference? Is it protecting itself? Read fault code. Makes me feel a little better. Left front wheel speed sensor circuit high voltage / open. We just pulled that 12 volt reference down, just like this. Test light did not light, no current, it shouldn't burn anything out. Let's reset the code, see if the 12 volt reference comes back. Clear fault code, yes. Okay. Read fault code, DTC display. It's still there. And obviously, our 12 volt did not return. Very interesting. Let's go to the other side. I want to make sure that 12 volt reference is still there on the right front. Yes, indeed, 11.3. Our 12 volt reference is here. We have no trouble codes for the right front wheel. It's the last one. So, what did we learn? If you pull the 12 volt reference down, clearing the codes for some reason does not reset it. Now, did the 12 volt reference burn out? I hope not, because that would be really crappy design on GM's part. That, wire rubs through and touches ground. What, you need an EBCM now? So I think there's something else here in the programming which we need to do to reset this module. Clearing the codes for some reason doesn't do it. Let's figure that out. Okay, so my question is, how do we get rid of these codes? I have everything plugged back in as the truck was when it got here. So let's go back again. Turn the key off. Wait a little bit. We shouldn't be able to talk to it now. It should say no comm. Why can it still talk to the EBCM? Let's back out of here all the way. Fault code's 3. Let's just get back out of health report altogether. System selection. EBCM. Read fault code. Okay, no comm. Just want to fire the truck up. DTC display. So we have left rear, right rear, left front. So is it storing all the codes? Did we not clear them This ignition cycle passed, this ignition cycle passed, this ignition cycle failed, this ignition cycle passed. That's key. We're getting hung up on that. So it has to say this ignition cycle failed, left rear wheel speed sensor, high voltage / open. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. Now, clear fault codes, yes. Okay, read fault code. Alright, we're back where we started. So now, the reference voltages should be back up. So just clearing codes doesn't necessarily reset the system. We have to turn the key off, turn it back on, go in there. Now, let's do the bypass test. I mean, we already did. It went to 4502, so we're done. We need a wheel speed sensor. Simple as that. Alright, on the left rear, our 12-volt reference is back. Sweet. Now, let's go to the signal. We're at 0. I'm just going to wiggle this wire and see if anything happens. Where's that wheel speed sensor? There's the wire for it. Nope, no signal. Okay. So just to be 100%, let's jump the harness on the right rear, or the working wheel speed sensor on the right rear, to the harness on the left rear. Reset the codes, make sure the EBCM can read a signal when the wheel speed sensor is functional. One variable here. If we're going to this EBCM from the health report or directly from system selection. So right now the setup is, I disconnected both sensors. We have 2 fault codes. This is passed and failed this ignition cycle. I connected the harness side through 2 jumpers. So the harness side here, wheel speed sensor over there, that's a known good. So if we clear these codes out, we should only have a code for, so it'll think this is good now, and it'll think the right rear should be bad. So let's clear these out. Clear fault code. Yes. Okay. Read fault code. Okay, so it worked. Now it says right rear wheel speed sensor, high voltage open, this ignition cycle, because it's connected to the left rear sensor. That's 100% verification that our left rear sensor is bad. No question about it. Wiring's good, EBCM's fine. So I'm gonna look up the right part number, OEM only. I'm going to replace this wheel speed sensor.